Hello everyone and welcome to Infinox Market Insights with me, Richard Perry, analysing markets for Infinox on Wednesday the 19th of January. Now, the selling pressure that's come through Wall Street in the early weeks of 2022 has continued. Sharp move higher on US bond yields is certainly weighing on Nasdaq, but also negative sentiment through earnings on the big banks has also weighed on how Wall Street has been trading recently. So sharp downside move on Nasdaq, S&P 500. That's filtering into the European sessions as well, with the downside move through indices. Sharp move to the upside on that spike in bond yields yesterday has helped the dollar to find a bit of support, but is that support starting to wane again? Signs that that selling pressure could be starting to creep back in again. We'll take a look on some of the charts we've got for that. The inflation numbers around the world are still a key basis of news that markets are trading on. And UK inflation has jumped higher than expected today for December. Highest level on headline inflation since 1992. We've also got the Canadian inflation later on. A little bit of housing data for the US, but nothing major in terms of tier 1 data for the US traders to really think about. But certainly the outlook for today is risk negative, but also just not necessarily pulling on from that US dollar strength of yesterday. Now, the charts we've got to look at today include the Dolly Yen chart, where the rebound on Dolly Yen with that dollar strength yesterday has just started to fall over again. We're also looking at the oil price, which just continues higher. And we're also finally looking out for that Nasdaq chart. Big downside break, but how does it impact on the strategy? So let's have a look. And onto the Infinox MT5 platform, and starting off with Dolly Yen, which is a trade we've been looking at in the IX trading room that has been going well for us. And this downtrend in Dolly Yen in the past couple of weeks is really key, I think, at the moment. You can see that this technical rally that we saw in the last couple of trading sessions has just started to fall over again, this as the downtrend has started to come back in. And interestingly enough, technical rally back to the 50 level on that RSI is again the point at which it starts to fall over. So this is interesting. Look at this also. The pivot line of that old support of that reaction low there and the reaction high that we saw yesterday around that 15 big figure area has just started to become the basis of resistance. Let's look at the 4-hour chart. You can see that in greater detail, where the market has just now started to fall over. Sharp downside move in the latest 4-hour period. Again, if I show you on the 1-hour chart, we're looking at a sort of head and shoulders top pattern here. And it certainly looks as though that the initial resistance comes in around the 1445 area. And that top essentially is a live pattern, whilst that reaction high at 114.80 remains intact as a resistance. But this is all taking place underneath this downtrend resistance. So the big resistance comes in, as I said, around that 115.05 level that we had as the rebound high, but it certainly looks as though this one's turning lower and could well now come back towards a test of that reaction low at 113.50 area. And onto the oil chart, well, a strong uptrend has taken oil to levels not seen for many years, and it certainly looks strong on this momentum indicator on the RSI, but a little bit stretched on that RSI, peaking at 74, just starting to roll over a shade this morning, pulling back from an intraday high of 89.10 that we've got on this chart here for MT5. And just essentially on the 4-hour chart, you can see this coming back towards the latest breakout area. This is now supportive with the old breakout around 86.70, and that downtrend doesn't come in until 85.50 area. But essentially what we look for on this bull trend higher is this RSI on the 4-hour chart unwinding towards that 50 mark. That's the point at which you start to look for buying opportunities again, but it certainly looks like a strong trend and looking to buy into weakness. There's no real reason why it cannot continue higher into the 90s on this chart. And finally on the Nasdaq, well, big downside break on what Nasdaq with that move below the 15,500 area, that basis of pivot line that had been supportive, tested a couple of times, but then fell over on Monday around that resistance at 15,630. And it's now broken decisively below this long-term uptrend channel. If I sort of explode that out, you can see the long-term uptrend channel that has now been broken. I think this chart is, for me, going to turn into a very choppy range play, probably even back towards that 14,300 area, maybe towards that, and I think that that could be an area where we start to find the market pulling higher once more. But I think it's going to be a move that decisively moves to the downside in the coming weeks, and I think maybe tests that level before starting to find support again. But this is key resistance overhead now, 15,500 to 15,700 on this chart. If I put on the 4-hour chart, you can see that the level at 15,630 area comes in as a resistance, but any rallies, I think, on a technical basis are now a chance to sell. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you found it informative for your trading. I'll be back on Friday where I'll be looking at how the markets are setting up for the end of the trading week, and also looking at how this correction in risk appetite is coming through. So I'll leave you with the Infonox support and resistance table, and I will speak to you then. Good luck in your trading, everyone.